Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the next newcomer idea, the next new character idea I'm doing for this series of videos, these series of characters of newcomer ideas for the upcoming Smash Bros. Game on Nintendo Switch, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And as I mentioned in the last video when I was talking about Isaac, I mentioned that this character video, character number 55, was going to be returned to the world of Fire Emblem and talk about a character that is essentially the mascot of the series, and Anna. And yes, I'm eventually going to get out some other Fire Emblem characters I mentioned in the last video. I am going to be doing the 4 characters we know so far from Fire Emblem 3 Houses: Dimitri, Claude, Edelgard, and Byleth. They're all coming. They're going to be down this list somewhere. But I had to make a detour stop, and I had a longer plan because she's been intended since the beginning of this list. I kind of had to wait until 3 Houses got announced to even include them in this list. But Anna's been intended for this list since the beginning. I have to do a video for Anna first, and since she has more history with the series, her video has to come first. So wait for those 3 Houses characters, and if there are any more Fire Emblem characters, I'm not going to say if there are or not. You'll have to find out on your own when the videos come out. But those characters will all come later on down the line. Character number 55 is Anna from Fire Emblem. And like always, 3 separate categories. Why does the character make sense for Smash Bros? Moveset ideas, and the percentage chance I can see them getting in the game. Now, when it comes to Anna, why does Anna make sense for Smash Brothers? Why include her out of anyone instead of including like an Echoes rep, or a 3 Houses rep, or picking an older character rep, or Fire Emblem 17 when it comes out, the new game after 3 Houses or whatever? You know, stuff like that, or going back and picking another Awakening or Fates rep, which some people seem to want. Well, first and foremost, like I said, I mentioned it in the end of the last video. I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. She is essentially the mascot for Fire Emblem. She has been around since the inception of the series and has been in most of the games of the Fire Emblem series since the first game. There's a few games here and there, like, you know, Gaiden and the remake Echoes and whatnot, she wasn't in, to my knowledge at least. But most games, she's been in as some sort of merchant at the shops where you buy it, and within the last couple of games, you know, where you buy the items, and then recent games, now she's actually a playable character. So she started off and was a long-time merchant in the series, a long-standing merchant that just showed up in every single game at one of the shops you go to, and you buy your weapons and your items and your healing stuff and whatever the heck else from her. And then now, since Awakening, she's been playable in pretty much almost every single entry. So yeah, she is like essentially the mascot of the series, and that is a major reason I do see a lot of people recommending her as the next Fire Emblem newcomer. And like I basically just mentioned, now she's recently playable. Now she's not just a merchant. Now she's not just someone on the sidelines to buy stuff from. Another reason is she is now playable. She was made playable in Awakening with her trickster sword fighting style. I believe she was in Fates at some sort of capacity in Fates. She's a major character in Fire Emblem Heroes on the mobile game. She was included in Fire Emblem Warriors. Out of all the inclusions of characters they can include in Fire Emblem Warriors, they included her. And that's kind of an important deal because they didn't include many other characters outside of Shadow Dragon, Fates, and Awakening. So to include her, like Celica and Lyn and whatnot, is pretty important, and it must have been, you know, a major reasoning to put her in the game. They had to have been, like, she had to be that important for, you know, Koei Tecmo and intelligence systems to, you know, either decide to have them put her in or Koei Tecmo to decide themselves. She has to be that important. She has to be that, there has to be a major reason for them to include her, and it's because of her importance to the series. She's been in most of the series, and she is a unique and interesting character or cast of characters, the different Annas throughout the series and whatnot. So yeah, like there's that. And also I think she makes a good character and fits in pretty well because she has so much variety in her moveset. Like, just take into account recently she's had different fighting classes using swords, axes, and bows and whatnot. But then you also take into account, you know, she was a merchant. She can sell items and do stuff. So, and she's really greedy with gold and whatnot, and like has that personality now. Or she could be very cheerful, goody two-shoes sales girl that sells you items on the field and whatnot. She has different personalities, different stuff. She can use her weapons. She can sell you weapons. She can throw bags of gold maybe or something. She has so much variety that she can pretty much have for a moveset, of which saying that, I've kind of given away some of what I'm going to give her a moveset later on, but in a few minutes, in a minute or so, I'm going to give you the moveset. But like I said, there's so much variety in her moveset. She has long-standing history in the series. She's been around since the inception of the series, without excluding a few different games. Does make her a mascot. Now she's playable. She's had a playable like 3 or 4 appearances in the last like 6 years, and one of which is a Warriors game, which is one of the major spin-offs outside of Heroes. And Koei Tecmo decided to include her as one of the non-3 main represented games in that game. So there you go with that. And that's the reasons why she makes sense to get in. I mean, is it the best reasons? No, but they're reasons, and I do think it makes sense to include her in the game. I really do. That's reasons why she makes sense. Second category, moveset ideas. I basically just mentioned she has so much variety because she used to be a merchant, and now she has different fighting styles using different types of weaponry and different types of fighting styles with said weaponry. So you can have a very distinct moveset for her that that is a hodgepodge melting pot of every single appearance she has in the series. So with her smash attacks, I'm going to give her both her sword from Awakening and her axe from Heroes. She'll interchange them out, like maybe standard one would be a sword, but left and right would be the axe, or up and down would be like the axe or something, or maybe you can switch it out with your special attacks. Like it could work either way. It could be like some of the smash attacks are sword based, some of the smash attacks are axe based, and it could be like the Inklings, because there's a bunch of different weapons from the Inkling, from Splatoon that are now in the Inkling's moveset, and that's how their moveset now works. Now, since we know from E3, it's like you just certain special attacks, and smash attacks, and whatnot bring out certain different weapons. Like that's what I think they could do for her, or you could do like what I talked about for Alm, and maybe the standard B down B is her switching between her axe or her sword, or basically what I mentioned with Miriam on character number 50. She has like a whip, an axe, and a giant sword, giant axe thing, and a whip. Interchangeable weapons, or certain smash attacks are sword based, certain smash attacks are axe based. But I want to represent both of her different fighting styles because she was a trickster in Awakening. She was like this crazy, wacky, moving across the stage, like flying all over the place, sword fighter, like a crazy, crazy sword fighter. I say focus on it being mostly a trickster fighting style with the weapons, even the axe. Even though in Heroes she wasn't a trickster, she just was a standard axe user, she fights with an axe in the trickster fighting style. So regardless, it's trickster all the way. I would just say some of her smash attacks are axe-based, some of her smash attacks are sword-based, but everything is in trickster fighting style. So she's not going to fight like in terms of an axe user, not like Edelgard from Three Houses or Hector. And for a sword user, she's not going to be like a Marth, a Roy, a Lucina, or a Corrin, or a Robin, or whatever. She's going to be dancing across the stage. She's going to be crazy, wacky, like going into weird poses and just being weird wielding her sword, weird wielding her axe. And either some smash attacks are one weapon than the other, or it's interchangeable weapons. Like you could take out the sword, take out the axe, and switch it, like how the Pokemon trainer switches Pokemon, or how how I mentioned with Miriam in character number 50, switching like different, her 3 different weapons, stuff like that. Either you can interchange the weapons or make them certain smash attacks or one, certain smash attacks or the other. On to her special attacks. She also is a archer. She's a bow user in Warriors. I want to represent that too. So I'd say she uses a bow in in her special attacks. So she'll be like what I mentioned with Alm. I gave Alm his sword stuff all in his smash attacks, but I gave him a bow in his special attacks. So I'm going to say mainly her special attacks are all bow based. Charge shot bow, maybe smacking people with her, her bow, stuff like that. Like charging up for the bow and arrow, or smack people with the bow, or doing something with the bow and the arrow, or one or the other, or whatever. Maybe she pulls the arrow out and just jumps up and smacks someone, stabs someone with an arrow. I don't know. Just make her crazy and unique. I mean, it fits. She's not really technically a sane character if you go by the trickster one, and some of her personalities in the crazy games, like when she's a shopkeep and wants all the money and whatnot. So yeah, just make her unique and different. She shoots her bow, she charges it up, maybe she just takes the arrow out and smacks someone with it, or she just takes instead of using the arrow, she takes the bow and smacks someone with it. You never know. And on top of that, I want to represent her merchant days, like when she used to not be a playable character. So I want to kind of throw in some of her merchant stuff, like you go to the shop, you give her gold, and she gives you weapons and armor and whatnot. So I would say she pulls out bags of giant, like, her merchandise, and she takes stuff out and she throws it at you, or she sets it down so it's like a shield, so when someone's about to attack, she pulls out this giant plate of armor, sits it in front of her, she ducks below it, and they attack the armor. Or she maybe can pull out some sort of weapon and just like smack someone with it, like maybe a knife or a staff or something. She pulls out and just like hits you with it. I would say that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe she throws a bag of gold at you and you just trip over the gold and start falling over and tripping. Oh, Brawl's back. No! I don't know. She'd be crazy. So that's about it. So before I get to the final smash, I'm going to recap the moveset. Her smash attacks would all be sword and axe based, but in the trickster style she had in Fire Emblem Awakening. Now, the weaponry can be either interchangeable, like I mentioned with Alm or Miriam, where you can switch out between the weapons. Or it could be like the Inkling, which you just, certain smash attacks are the sword and certain smash attacks are the axe. But she's crazy, wacky, dancing all over the stage, being weird trickster sword axe user. Her special attacks are going to be using the bow, shooting the bow, smacking you with the bow, and then taking out her merchandise from her days as, shopkeep, and either taking out plates of armor to defend herself, or taking out like some weapon and throwing it at you, like some healing item or something, or taking out some just like a staff or a knife or some weapon that she doesn't use and just like smacking you with it. Like, oh, here's my merchandise, stop, protect me, no. There you go. And for her final smash, I had to do this because it was so hilarious that they did this in Fire Emblem, Warriors. And it's really an interesting idea, especially because there's so many different Annas, and it's not like one singular person. It's like Nurse Joy from Pokemon. It's like those characters in video games and anime and whatnot, where there's multiple versions of the same character. It's pretty freaking hilarious. It's the army of Anna. Like in the win animation in Warriors, technically the Anna you're playing as runs off with the treasure that you won the level with, while an army of Anna just chases her down. I would say something like that would be kind of cool. She pulls out like this bag of treasure, this bag of like I won the treasure, I am rich, yes! But then she throws it at the opponents, and then the opponents get caught in a caught animation where they get hit. Any of the opponents that are actually caught in the animation, they're looking at this bag of gold, and they're hearing like these noises in the distance. They look over, this army of Annas are chasing them down to grab that bag of gold. They're like, no! And they're all like stomped to the ground by this army of Anna, like, oh, get away from me, no! And then they get maybe thrown off the stage, or one of the Annas has a bomb and they get blown off the stage, and it'd be freaking hilarious. That's what I do for a final smash. The army of Anna that trample the opponents down to the ground, stomp them, damage them very highly, and then maybe some sort of explosive just blows them up. Maybe the gold is just a big bomb. Maybe there's a bomb in with the gold and it blows all the Annas off the stage too. That'd be freaking hilarious, and I think that'd be funny enough for her to be very unique and very different. Okay, so that's her moveset. Now, let's get on to the third category. Percentage chance I could see her getting in. It's possible. I could see them going for it. It's a very unique idea, and it's interesting to represent someone that doesn't just represent a game or two in the series, but represents the entire series as a whole, which we don't really have for Fire Emblem yet. Every character represents their own game, pretty much. Shadow Dragon is represented by Marth. Fire Emblem 6 is represented by Roy. We have the Fire Emblem Fates character representation in Corrin. Lucina and Robin represent Awakening. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn are represented by Ike. It's certain characters represent certain games. She would represent the entire series. She would represent multiple games in the series. It'd be kind of cool. Their spin-off in Warriors with Koei Tecmo, their attempt on mobile with Heroes, their Merchant Days, Awakening, Fates, all these different games. So I say it does make sense, but the track record here with the Fire Emblem newcomers is they've always been from newer games. Sakurai has always went for like a newer game character. So I think that kind of hurts her chances. And if she was to be included in the game, I think they would have included her by now. But also, most of her importance, at least the variety of her importance actually being playable and actually having some unique styles to her, hasn't come until the last couple games, like Awakening Fates, Heroes, Warriors, stuff like that. So maybe nowadays she'd have more importance, but I think if she was all that important to include, she might have been included back a game or two ago. But even then, I think that might be a little too much, because back in the days of Brawl, she was only a merchant, and then she was just barely playable with Awakening in 4. So I think now is her best chance more than ever. But the track record is they normally go for newer games. And right now it's Echoes and eventually Three Houses. And now if in 3 Houses we have playable Anna, that changes everything. It'd be cool, but I'm going to give her a 75% chance. She's very possible. She has so much going for her, being the mascot of the series, being very iconic, variety of moveset, being included in Warriors, being an important hero. She's one of the major characters you get to play in your party on Heroes in the story and whatnot. She's very important. She's very utilized by intelligence systems nowadays. So maybe that track, carry over to Smash Brothers, and Sakurai will see that and include her. But I'm giving her lesser of a score than Alm and Celica, or even potentially the Three Houses characters when I get to them, because I'm like, I feel they're more important. I feel they're more in the limelight right now and possible. But and even then, 75% isn't even really all that low. She's still very possible. I just see the likes of like an Alm or Celica or Edelgard or Dimitri or Claude or Byleth more likely than her. I do think she's more likely than what a lot of people are recommending in like the old school Fire Emblem characters coming in, like Hector or Eli Wood or Ephraim or Erica or Micaiah or characters like that. I don't see older characters coming, being utilized. Anyone from Awakening being brought back, even now Echoes. I don't even think we're ever gonna get another Awakening or Fates rep. But yeah, I think she's more likely than a lot of people recommending the likes of Hector and Eli Wood and Lynn and whatnot. But I don't think she's as likely as like an Alm or Celica or someone representing Echoes or someone from Three Houses. That's all I'm gonna say. 75% chance, fairly possible. Track record says no, but things can change and have changed with Smash Brothers, and I can see it happening. It's just like she's in the middle ground here. These characters are more likely, and she's more likely than these characters. She kind of fits right in the middle, right there with those. So there you go, in terms of Fire Emblem representation. But that's it for Anna from Fire Emblem. And that's it for the video. Put in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys want to see Anna? Do you think she'd be a good representation for Fire Emblem? What about moveset ideas? Would my moveset ideas good? What moveset ideas would you give her? Would you focus more on her merchant days, more on her fighting days, or would it be cool to hodgepodge it like me, like I mixed it together? What about my reasons, your reasons? And is 75% chance too high, too low? Discuss it in the comment section below. We can have fun. And stay tuned for character number 56 when I go back to the world of WarioWare and I talk about the other major female character in that series. I've already talked about Mona. That means character number 56 is going to be Ashley. See you all next video. Bye.